I will call the November 28, 2022 meeting of the Ventura County Animal Services Commission meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. I will call. There seems to be a kind of a glitch on my end. I'm going to click where it says got it. Were you able to hear me?
We can. Yes.
Okay.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Susan, for calling to order. I'm going to go ahead and move forward, and we're going to get this meeting started. First thing, I know that we have a roll call. So Sandra, if you could do roll call for us, that would be great.
Thank you. Supervisor Levier.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Commissioner Zaragoza.
Here.
Commissioner Santangelo. Commissioner Gama.
It's off now. It just connected on Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez Palacios. Commissioner McCall. Commissioner Enegren.
Present.
Commissioner Francina.
Here. Thank you.
And once again, we have a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we apologize for the glitches that we had a couple weeks ago. So thank you for being here. At this point, we're going to move to Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to ask Mayor Zaragoza if he would be willing to lead us in the pledge this morning.
Please follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Oops. Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. Do we have any reordering of the agendas? And any of the commissioners who would like to reorder anything as the agenda is written today? No. All right. Wonderful. If we can move to consent calendar. At this time, looking for a motion to approve the minutes. And I know it feels like a lifetime ago, but move for a motion of the minutes from May 12th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm
Anyone opposed? And any abstentions? All right. Wonderful. That motion passes. All right, moving on to presentations, proclamations, and commendations. First and foremost, what I would like to really do here is say welcome to Supervisor Levier for joining the Animal Services Commission. We are thrilled and honored that you are joining this esteemed group of your fellow electeds here, for everyone to, really pay the respects that we appreciate for animal services. So thank you so much for being here. Having said that, as we all know, we lost a dear friend not too long ago when Carmen Ramirez was painfully taken from all of us. And I would like, if we could, to do a moment of silence in recognition of Carmen. We all know how much she was invested in animal services for so many years. And I'd like to do a moment of silence in her honor. Thank you, everyone. Carmen, as we all know, as I just mentioned, she had been with Animal Services. She's been serving on this commission for over 10 years. And she has been a lifelong supporter of Animal Services and all kinds of programming to help animals here in Ventura County. She was truly a lover of animals. She had many pets of her own. And one of the things that we wanted to do as our small way of honoring Carmen is to do a small memorial service here. She was so important to the work that we all did. And so we have scheduled, and I believe we either have gotten the date out or we will be getting it out in the next day or so. We are scheduling a small memorial service for the unveiling of a memorial bench that will be here at our property that will continue to live on the memory of Carmen with Animal Services. I believe that date is January 25th. We will get that out to everyone. It'll be just a small service. We're not opening it up to just the general public. It is going to be an invitation, but if there's someone who you think would be really special to attend, please feel free to share it with anyone. But we are trying to keep it fairly small just because of the size of our property. But we will get that information out to you. Again, I believe it's January 25th is the date at, I think at 11, if that's the date we finalize. We've been working really closely with her staff / Supervisor Lopez's staff to find that date, work that date, and make sure that her family was also available to participate. So that's the dates that have been chosen. We will get that out to you probably by the next day or two of this week. Did anyone want to say anything at this time regarding the passing of Carmen, the service of Carmen? Again, there will be opportunity at the event. I don't want you to feel that this is the only one, but many of you did serve for quite a long time with Carmen on this commission specifically. I wanted to offer that opportunity.
Let me share a couple of words. I just, like I said, we're going to miss Carmen tremendously. You know, she was a fighter, as we all know, and we mentioned that several times. She was a big fighter for the underserved. She was a big fighter for the environment. And of course, one of the most important things that I really like is I have a lot of granddaughters, and my wife and everything is really fought for women's rights, which was really, really powerful in that. And I really admire her for that. And of course, you know, there's a lot of good things that Carmen did. And of course, you know, she, when Carmen and I was supervisor and she was mayor pro tem, we kind of interacted tremendously between the county and the city, back and forth, you know. And now with Lopez, we can probably do the same thing, and with Matt, and hopefully, you know, with Parks, we're going to miss her tremendously, you know, also. So, and with Kelly and other folks too. So we're going to miss her, and I want to thank you. That's a great thing you're going to do, to have one of those benches over at the animal shelter or services, you know, to honor Carmen. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
I'll just say, you know, relative to animal services, when we go through, you know, every January at our board, and we reorganize and we figure out who's handling what commissions and committees and whatnot. And it's, you know, there was one thing that none of us ever even thought about asking to do, and it was animal services. We knew that Carmen would never give this up. I mean, this was something that she just, from all of the causes that she championed for, I mean, animal services was so near and dear to her heart. And she just genuinely cared about what this body does, what the department does. And she truly loved animals. And so it's kind of bittersweet to be here. You know, this is always Carmen's seat. And of all the things that she did, and she loved animals and she loved animal services. So I love that you're going to be honoring her with the bench.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
I just, I can really feel Carmen's love and presence as we're talking about her. And I too think the bench is a wonderful, wonderful way to honor her. It can give us pause in her memory, and you know, it's a place to relax and consider life and interact with animals. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for saying it. Chris,
Yeah, I always knew Carmen as Carmen the politician, and never really got to know her just as a person. But when I met her on this board, and I've only talked to her a few times, but I got to know a really warm, loving person. And this was definitely her seat in this meeting, and she was a very powerful member of this group, and we're really going to miss her.
Yes.
Stephen,
Oh, thank you. I met Carmen originally on the EDC board where we sat together, and she was probably the first one to welcome me and to be warm and, introduce herself. And that was just her. And then having her on the animal services has also been wonderful. She'll be missed. She was just such a nice person through and through. And I think that reflected, and that on top of everything she has done for our community and the underserved and for women's rights. She can't be replaced. So I think the bench is a wonderful thought. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gama.
I'm sorry you can't see me. My video for some reason can't work. So the first time I met Carmen was before I was sworn in, and she was aware of what we were doing at Ormond Beach, and she was thankful for it. And then once I got sworn in, I served on 3 boards with Carmen, and she was always really pleasant when the meeting started. And I remember the last VCOG meeting we had, she brought some pink roses, and I sat next to her. And during the meeting, we were smelling the roses back and forth, and served with her on Beacon and got to know her there, animal services. And I was really enjoying getting to know her. And I was excited to get her to come out to Hueneme and when they changed the districts and become fully aware of our beach situation. And we were working on doing that at the time of her untimely passing. So I think it hurts a lot. And I really enjoyed her and was really looking forward to working with her. She was such a nice, friendly person. I'm gonna miss her. Thank you. And I do think that's a wonderful idea to have a bench out there. It's great.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that we all have had our different relationships with Carmen, but I will say one thing that I heard the very first day after her passing at the candlelight vigil that was held Saturday night was something that Assembly Member Steve Bennett had said. And as he said it, it just rang true. And I think it really is reflective of what everyone's saying, is that Carmen had this amazing ability to make whomever she was talking to in that moment feel special, right? There were so many people that she touched along the way in so many different ways of her political as well as her personal life, her duty to public service. But she had that gift to just make you in that moment feel special. And when he said that night, it just so resonated above and beyond everything else that Carmen has done. And she really was an amazing woman. That ability to make someone feel good and special in the moment was something that she had. So she touched all of us in different ways, and she surely will be missed. She's leaving quite a legacy here in animal services, and we'll talk more about that. And we'll have the opportunity at the memorial to spend a little time sharing those thoughts and comments. All right, I am going to keep us moving along. At this point, we are at our public comment period. Sandra, Randy, do we know if we have any public comments?
Yes. Good morning, VCAS Commission, members of the public. If you would like to be added to the public comment queue for non-agenda items, please connect now via Zoom. If you are not already connected and wish to make a public comment, please visit vcas.us/vcas-commission, and the Zoom link is at the bottom of the page. If you are calling in, press *9 to be added to the speaker queue, and then you'll press *6 to unmute yourself. At this time, we do have one person. Our first speaker today will be Susan Santamaria. I'm going to let her in right now. She's in here twice, so I think one is via phone, the other is computer. Let's check. One second, it says joining. Susan Santamaria, can you hear me?
Hi, Susan, are you there? Can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Good morning, Susan. Yes, we can hear you. You have 3 minutes to make public comment. Good morning.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
We
we can.
Okay, my first thing on the agenda is for the dog enrichment. Apparently someone with ideas of
I'm having a little bit of tough time hearing you. Is
on
that
the dogs. Oh,
we can, it's, the reception is not very good. We started hearing
I
you and
can
then you
hear
dropped off.
you.
Can you go ahead and try again?
Okay,
There you go.
on the agenda is for the enrichment program. And someone came up with the idea of taking away. Can you hear me now?
No, we're having trouble, Susan.
I do have you on here twice. I don't know if that's having a problem. Maybe if you close one of them, it's using some of your bandwidth.
Let me close out and try it again.
Okay. And
Let me
this will
close
not,
out and try it again.
okay, this will not count as your time.
This is like killing me.
Okay. I see the other one left. Can you go ahead and, can you hear us now? If you're speaking, we are unable to hear you. I'm sorry. Would you like to leave and then come back in again? Maybe that'll trigger. Maybe that will work.
Okay, I'm back.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
It's a lot better. Yes.
Okay. The first thing I wanted to address was the dog enrichment program. Apparently, they're taking 3 to 4 meals a week away from the dogs. They're using enrichment as a meal instead of giving the dogs 2 meals a day. And a lot of the dogs are not eating out of this enrichment. They don't eat the Kongs. They're afraid of the wobblers. The wobblers were originally meant for dogs who gobble up their food and it slows them down. It wasn't meant as an enrichment. Also using, one of the ones they were using was called the Busy Bucket, which is 98% water. And they want to use that as an evening meal for these dogs. These dogs are now hungry and they don't react well to this. The enrichment program we had going on, the dogs loved it with the frozen yogurts and the fruits. It was like a dessert, a treat for them. It was never meant to be a meal. Also, listening to the radio is not considered enrichment, but they are using that 1 day a week as enrichment. So I don't know who thought of this or who signed off on this, but as volunteers, we are extremely worried about this. And we also need to, we were thinking of maybe hiring someone from the probation department for our laundry, maybe just 2 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week, maybe to get somebody in there to get control over the laundry. We thought that might be a good, since we bring them in anyway to clean out the fields over by the horses and that. And also, we need to know, where does everyone go between the hours of 11 and 1? There isn't one staff around for help if we need it. No one. And I do realize people do have to take lunches, and that's, that's a good thing, okay. But does everybody have to go at once and for 2 to 3 hours at a time? We need to have someone patrolling through, cleaning out the kennels, getting them ready for the public. That's what we always thought, but we're the ones doing all that. And we'd like to have that looked into, and having whoever's in charge of the new staff members, maybe going through and checking their work. And I know, it can be daunting, but there have been quite a few times that the new staff members look to us as volunteers to show them how to do things because they were not cleaning. One dog was so bad off, it took us 30 minutes, 2 of us, to clean out the inside of his kennel, and we needed a brush to do it. And this is really unacceptable. So we need to know if maybe you can get whoever's supposed to be handling the new employees or whatever to really overlook their work and make sure it's being done correctly. Because all this adds up to is these dogs are going back into messy cages and messy blankets. And we don't do that. We don't do that here. We try to make them as comfortable as we possibly can. But the big thing was the enrichment program. We'd like to see the other enrichment program back. I don't know where it went, but we'd like to see it back. The dogs enjoyed it. And it was just a special treat for them. It was never meant to be food, one of their meals.
10 seconds.
That's all.
Thank you very much. Randy, do we have any other public comments?
We do not.
All right, then we will.
May I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know that it's you're not usually able to address items that are not on the agenda, but could we, if my colleagues agree, could we have a follow-up at the next meeting as to the issues that were raised, especially the dog enrichment program, or perhaps you can send out an email, explaining the program. This sounds, it sounds very important. That's my comment.
I am happy to follow with an email if that would be to the pleasure of the group. I'd be happy to do that. Great. Excellent. Thank you. All right. If we don't have any other public comments, we will close public comments at this time and move forward with business items. Our first business item is to approve the quarterly resolution, which is now version 2, regarding Assembly Bill 361. We would be approving this. We operate, as we've said before, we kind of piggyback on the Board of Supervisors because of the 30-day rule, and we don't meet every 30 days. We meet on a quarterly basis. So we, as we've done in the past, looking for approval for that resolution, which would carry us to our next meeting in February, allowing us to continue meeting in a virtual format at this time. And so I'd ask for a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second. It's Matt.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Wonderful. That motion has been approved and we will move forward. Second item on the agenda is approval of next year's commission meeting dates. You will see in your packet that we sent you the proposed dates, and those would be, get to that page. Oops. You guys might have it in your packet quicker than I do. The proposed dates for the next year would be the third Thursday of every month, which would be February 16th, May 18th, August 17th, and then November 16th. You will also see on that same document the city staff meeting dates. Again, those are meetings that we hold with your city staff about approximately 2 weeks before to have an opportunity to talk about if there are any issues that you and or your staff feel that are important to bring forward for us to put onto the agenda. So we have discussion or move for a motion to approve the proposed meeting dates.
I'll move to approve the proposed meeting dates.
Wonderful. Do we have a second?
Second.
Gosa seconds that. Any discussion? If not, we'll call a motion for vote.
I'm sorry, can we clarify who the second was? I thought I saw two people on screen.
I saw Mayor Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All right then, all in favor of the proposed dates?
Aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Any objections? Abstentions on that? Wonderful. That moves forward too. Thank you all for that. We will go ahead and get that out on your calendar so that you have that now that those are approved. Then the next item here is a presentation that I would like to do for you regarding the new shelter. I know that we've talked about this so many times in the commission. It's been on the agenda kind of as a standing item, and it's often, pretty perfunctory. I say, yeah, we're still talking, we're still working. I actually have a lot of information to share this time, and so I'm super excited to be able to offer this. Give me just a moment. I do need to share a screen. And bear with me. Whoops. Let's see. Get rid of this for a moment. Okay, close that out. All right, let's get the share screen. Okay, can you all see the presentation on the screen? Wonderful. So as I said, I am super excited to be able to actually now start talking a little bit about the new shelter, because it is becoming more and more a reality in our world, and yeah, we're thrilled. So let's get. So I just want to talk about really three key points about this right now. I want to talk a little bit about the architect selection, how we went through that in the timelines, talk a little bit about the status of the project, and then some updates regarding funding. Oops, not moving that way. All right, as far as the architect selection, for many of you, we've been talking about this for years, and actually this has been a conversation and been on the radar here in the county for many years prior to me even joining Animal Services. But the most current iteration of this, we really started this conversation in earnest again in January of 2020. At that time, we had hired as consultants Dr. Kate Hurley and Dr. Danae Wagner from UC Davis Correct Shelter Medicine Program to come down and do some work with us, looking at our current housing and capacity. And through that conversation, we started discussing the prospect of having a new shelter. Dr. Wagner, specifically from UC Davis, is really one of the most well-renowned veterinarians who specializes in capacity design for sheltering. And so we asked Dr. Wagner if she would be willing to continue working with us, and she had agreed to do so. So actually, that initial contract started back in January, and she's continuing to do that through this phase with us. Then in August of 2020, we actually put the RFQ out. And one of the key components of this RFQ was that we were very specific and stated that the proposals must come from folks who had experience in animal shelter design work. Building a shelter is very different than building, if you will, a building. It's closer to building a hospital. We have to worry about all kinds of infection control and air changing. And of course, there's the flow and the housing. And it's a multi-purpose facility, because not only is it about housing of animals, it also is a welcoming place for the public to come in. And then there also is the component of the people and the staff who work here. So it really is a fairly complex project. And so that was one of the things we were really insistent upon experience. We did receive 6 proposals. And in November, we held a review of those proposals. And I am happy to say that the panel, which consisted of, I think there were 5 of us on the panel, there was unanimous agreement. And all of the proposals were very good, I have to say, but there was unanimous agreement for the selection of the vendor that we've moved forward with, which I'll talk about in a moment. So that was November of 2020. And some of you may remember there had been conversation of where would we be. And we started looking for land, and we started talking about what options there were. And at that time, we had been engaged in November 2020, and prior to, we'd been engaged in conversations, with the, at that time, current airport director, who felt that the ability for us to remain here was probably not likely due to some FAA considerations. And so we started looking for land. Since that time, we have had a change in the directorship for the airports, and I started meeting with the new airport director, Keith Freitas. And in November 2021, we came to an agreement that we would be able to stay on this property. He had done the research, and the determination was that that would not be a problem. We've been here since 1985, and it is not a concern for FAA. And so we will be able to remain on this property. What that means is we will be doing the construction as we continue to operate, which will make this a bit more challenging, but this is the best place for us. One, it's obviously, it's county property. We have this property. We lease it from the airports. We do not own this. We do lease this property. But we don't have to start worrying about variances and NIMBY issues. We're here, and they're welcome and glad to have us as a long-term leasee. So we were able to finalize that. Once we were able to finalize the property, we decided to start moving forward with the contract for the architects. And so we finished contract execution May of 2022 and quickly jumped into working with the architects. They came to us in July and did a 2-day site visit. Their entire team came and met with all of our team for 2 full days. And I mean, truly full days. It started at 8 in the morning until about 5:30. And we met in various groups to talk about all of the components of what a new shelter would look like, and more specifically, what our needs are and what we project for the future. So since July, we've been really pretty much on a fast track with the architect team. All right, a little bit about the team who we have selected. The lead architect team is a group called Jackson and Ryan, and they are out of Houston, Texas. You can see they were founded in 1986. They have just a huge wealth of experience and quite a portfolio of designing shelters across the country. They've done over 80 shelters. I have been to many of them. I've not been to all 80, but I have been to several, and they really range in size and as well as magnitude. Their shelter design work is really extraordinarily beautiful. But we also talk about that this is not to be just a showpiece. That's not what we're looking to build. We're looking to build a well-functioning facility. This is a county facility, and these are taxpayer dollars. And they are well prepared to do that. They've done shelter design for private, nonprofit humane societies and SPCAs, as well as municipals. And they really are just so highly regarded and recognized in the country. They have partnered with LDA Partners out of Stockton, California, who will be the architects of record for all of the work here in California. And they have quite a bit of experience partnering with Jackson and Ryan. And then, of course, the third partner in that is UC Davis Correct Shelter Medicine Program with Dr. Danae Wagner, who we've already had multiple conversations about how do we project what our capacity needs are moving forward, building a new facility. So that's a little bit about the architectural team. Just to give you an idea, now some of these dates are a little bit older, and as we know, cost of construction has continued to rise significantly the last couple years. But just to give some little bit of perspective, these are projects that have been completed either by Jackson Ryan and LDA or one or the other within the last few years here, specifically in California. LDA has literally just finished up the new San Luis Obispo County shelter. That was about a 21,000 square foot animal shelter that they designed. They completed that, as I said, August, for a cost of $15.5 million. The San Mateo animal shelter was about 40,000 square foot build for about $26,000, and that was completed August 2020. And then Elk Grove, you can see in 2019, for 22,000 square feet for a tune of about 14. Again, we right now are working with the architects, had a meeting with them last week. Again, looking at the basic needs assessment, what we believe will be square footage needs for us, and then what that cost projection will be. They are literally, as we speak, putting paper to pen and crunching numbers for us. So we hope to have some numbers very soon. But that's just to give you a general flavor of what we're looking at. I think I've said to this group on numerous occasions, my estimate, and I have, this just comes from having experience done 2 other shelters in different parts of the country, but I'm guessing we're somewhere around 35 million for a project. That would be my guess based on cost of construction these days in California and prices that have gone up. But we're going to wait for the architects to come back and talk about what that is. Of course, some of the expense will be, I mean, I don't think there's going to be anything remaining on this existing property. I don't think there's really anything salvageable here. Again, that's for the architect to determine. But yes.
Jackie, a quick question. I probably missed it, but what's the size that we're looking for the R?
Yeah, that's still to be determined. Right now, we operate, if we take all of our current buildings, where I believe we're about 32,000 square feet
32,000.
today. And we're going to need more than that because there's so much we don't have. I mean, we have people piled upon people and just office spaces.
And I remember when I was with the board at one time, we were looking for outside of the Camarillo, potentially, I think it was in Oxnard or Ventura. That was too expensive then when
I mean, that's one of the biggest advantages. I mean, the fact that we're able to remain on this property, we don't have to purchase any property. We've saved the cost of that, if you will. We will have an increased lease costs potentially if I did mention, we do have the possibility or the probability of being able to acquire a bit of land to the east of us. We will definitely be using some of that land as a staging during construction. And the architects are looking at whether we need that additional parcel.
And one last question. I think we ended up with a real long lease there with the Camarillo Airport. Is that
Yes. Right now we're under a 10-year lease, but again, part of the arrangement will be pretty much a lease in perpetuity. If we're going to put this kind of money into the property, we're going to have a lease in perpetuity.
And that was a key at the time because we need a long lease in order to recoup our investment, you know.
Absolutely. Sure.
Okay.
So that's just, again, just to give a little bit of comparisons. I'm not even sure how helpful that will be at the long run, but just to give you a flavor of what that looks like. This might be a little hard for you to see. I tried to blow it up as large as I can, but this is the project design schedule, and this is simply for the design phase. That's where we are. The work that the architects are doing right now has been funded through CEO's office. Money that was allocated a couple of years ago when we started this project. So I believe it's about a $200,000 cost right now for this design phase. And I know it's hard to see, but it started kind of in the beginning of October or mid-October when we actually started working with them to now. And then they were here in July. But through all of the data collection. So if we look at where we are, we're pretty much in the needs assessment area, which is number 6. Hope to have that finished by November 18th. We're maybe a week or two behind. Literally had a long meeting with the architects last week, looking at the needs assessment, looked at the design that they had created. There were some things that we asked them to go back and reconsider. And so they are actually doing some redesign and shifting at this moment. So, the bottom line is we anticipate that I would think maybe by the next week or so, we'll have a better design, better cost estimate with final schematic for approval by the end of January, early part of February. Once that component is completed, we will then do a presentation to the Board of Supervisors to share this information. And again, we all recognize that this is a long process, but hopefully it's not going to be so long because we have some other opportunities that we want to capitalize upon. Having said that, we will also still hold, very important to us, we want to still hold public focus opportunities for people to hear what we're doing and have people understand the importance and get excited about this project. But that's just a general project design schedule right now. And we're pretty close to it. They've been pretty much on target on dates at this moment. Let's talk about the funding. So unbelievably amazing, wonderful, good news for us is that October 11th of this year, our County Board of Supervisors approved $10 million from allocated funds from ARPA dollars to be designated and earmarked for the Animal Services Project. That is, as you all know, we've been talking about funding. How are we going to fund this? That is an amazing start to this project. The ARPA dollars, which I know many of you are very familiar with in your own cities, those dollars must be encumbered by December 2024, and they must be expended by December 2026. So that puts a bit of a timeline on this project for us. So,
Jackie, excuse me.
yes,
It should be encumbered or expended.
it must be encumbered by December 24,
Yeah,
and it must be expended by
by
December
the 26th.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's important to understand. I'm sure that the commission knows that, but I know that's extremely important that we, of course, encumber it, and then expend it by, the
Yeah.
choice.
And if, I mean, the part that's so exciting, a little anxiety producing at the same time, but exciting about this is we're really talking 2 years at
That's
this time, right? And 2 years flies by, as we all know. It's like, I can't believe we're in Christmas again. It's just unbelievable. So we have a huge chunk of money allocated and dedicated to this project that I know we're all going to want to figure out how to make sure we can move forward with. Now, as far as the remaining funding, that's still to be determined. We will be exploring other options, and we will be getting with the contracted cities, all of you, in the very near future to start talking about what options there are. I am not in a position to discuss any of those at this time, because I'll be very honest, we've not had those conversations at the county level yet. The first part is we need to get the cost estimate now from the architect so that we know what that gap is. And then we'll talk about how do we fill that gap. But this was an unbelievable opportunity. We're so grateful. And I am incredibly grateful to all of the staff here at the county.
We want to thank.
I call the office.
We need to thank Matt for that. Jack, I'm sorry for apologizing for
Oh, no.
interrupting, but I think that $10 million is extremely important. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And the team who worked on this at the county level to bring in the county funds, and the Board of Supervisors and Matt, we've had this conversation. I can't even begin to express the gratitude that we have to get this project started for us. So that's where we sit with the new project. We truly are a work in progress. I anticipate that at our next meeting, as we've been doing, I'll have continued updates as we move forward. We definitely will be starting to have more serious conversations with the cities in the next several months. We need to get the cost estimate, and then we'll do some internal conversations and start meeting with the Board of Supervisors and moving this project forward. But I did want to thank everybody for your ongoing support and interest in this project. Commissioner Gama, every meeting you ask about this and do it with such wonderful enthusiasm. So thank you to everybody, and very hopefully we will have additional pieces to talk about. And I am happy to answer any questions, and it's never a problem being I love being, as a dialogue through this, so please don't feel like you're interrupting me. Are there any questions, anything I can share with anyone about this project at this time?
My apologies for interrupting so many times, but in your last slide, Jack, you had the 10 million ARPA monies, and then exploring the funding from the contract cities. I think one of the important things is we're looking at, probably we don't have to meet ARPA money there, but potentially the city should know more or less, so we can start budgeting accordingly, for when that time comes.
Absolutely. Again, I know that, over the years, there've been multiple conversations at various levels of depth with the cities regarding this kind of project, and we've never really landed on anything definitive. Now that we have an architectural team in place, and we have, if you will, a large chunk of money to start this project, we will be looking at this in a much more earnest way. We will be talking as far as the CEO's office, our budget analysts, along with the Board of Supervisors, what this looks like for us from the county, as well as, of course, all of the collaborative conversations with the cities for this.
And if we're looking for 3-4 years at least, X amount of dollars can be allocated accordingly. Just for
Yep. And again, it's very much based upon capacity and utilization. It's important for us to know all of those pieces before we actually move to ground. So,
thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Any comments or questions about this?
Can you just clarify in case I missed it? Is there an estimated completion date expended by December 2026? I'm not sure if I totally understand what that means.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's specifically related to the ARPA dollars, the 10 million that comes from ARPA. We know that that's not going to cover the full cost of the project. Maybe it'll cover a third to a quarter of the project, but those dollars, those 10 million, must be encumbered, meaning that we are in contract. We have allocated the dollars to whomever by December 2024. And then those dollars must be utilized and spent by December 2026. Now, and I'm completely making this up, Commissioner, but let's say the project doesn't finish until December 2027. As long as the 10 million component is spent by December 26, we meet the requirements under the ARPA stipulations. The additional dollars might carry us for another period of time.
So did I hear you say that it could be completed by 2027?
No, I'm not saying a date. That was a hypothetical. I have no idea. I have no idea. We don't, again, I'm waiting for information from the architects. They are the experts. They will help us drive this project. Nothing can happen until we actually have finalized and solidified the funding, how we're going to pay for this. And we can't do that until we actually have a better cost estimate from them.
Yeah, so it's premature if people ask when it will be completed. We don't know yet.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
That's correct. Anybody else? I'm going to stop sharing it so I can see everybody's smiling faces. All right. Well, again, this will not be the last time that we will be talking about this. I do anticipate that as we move forward over the next year, we really will have the opportunity to talk in much greater detail about this project now, as opposed to it being a placeholder on our agenda. I think there will be substantive material to discuss at each meeting. All right. God, this feels like the Jackie show, but I'm just going to keep rolling here if everyone's okay with it. Moving on, the next item on our agenda is the director's report. And so you have that in your packet also. And I have some what I think are really fun and exciting things to also share there. First in the packet, it says Best Friends Shelter Collaborative Partnership Program. We are really honored and excited. We have been asked by Best Friends, which many of you know is a national organization. They're quite a large funder. And they really have been one of the agencies over the many years who have been really driving and pushing life-saving activities in the field of animal welfare. They reached out to me, maybe 3-4 months ago now at this point, and had talked about how impressed they were with our live release rate and the work that we are doing here in Ventura County and have been doing for many years. Again, our life-saving efforts really started back in 2012 with it really hitting the 90% live release rate in 2014. Donna Gillespie, our deputy director, was really the architect that and has kept her hand on everyone's back and pushed forward all of these years. And we've been able to sustain that since 2014. And they of course have seen that and have seen the creative programs we have. And they asked if we would be willing to mentor some other agencies throughout the nation, but specifically some here in California who have been struggling. And we obviously always want to help wherever we can. And so we are in the process of entering into a relationship with Best Friends where we will be mentoring Kern County Animal Services. We being Donna and I have already been up there to do a site visit. We've spent some time starting to identify the areas that they are struggling with and what we can do to help support them, bring some of our knowledge and expertise. And some of it is operational processes and philosophy changes. And I have to say, they're doing great work up there. They're a really solid agency, but they are in a very tough jurisdiction with a lot of dogs. And their live release rate is not great. And so we will be mentoring them over the next year or two, and we're very, very excited to be doing that work. They'll be coming to visit us. We'll be going up there, and we're happy to help other agencies here in the state continue to do the great work. So we wanted to let you all know that because we thought that was something real exciting to talk about. We also just had a very full training event happening here. There's a model called Dogs Playing for Life. It is a dog enrichment program that was designed by its founder by the name of Amy Sadler many years ago. Amy's philosophy was that the best way to enrich animals in a shelter is to get them into play groups with the goal of getting all dogs into play groups every day. Play groups help with their socialization. It helps with their frustration level. It also helps to tell us all kinds of things about those dogs that you just don't learn about them while they're sitting in a kennel. And that helps for placement and adoptability. And so we had Dogs Playing for Life here many years ago, and we're doing play groups, and then it kind of faded. And so we just brought them back, and they did a 5-day intensive training with our team. And we have now moved very much to a play group driven model. All of our dogs are going into play groups every single day at our shelter. And just wanted to share that because, again, that's one of those really creative as well as progressive activities that happens at shelters that have truly a dedication to life-saving efforts. So we have that. The lawn care model. So this is a really interesting new project. It is not our project. I want to be really clear about that. But I am acting as somewhat of a liaison to help facilitate some conversations. A gentleman by the name of Dr. Michael Blackwell, who used to be U.S. Surgeon General at one time. He has been with the University of Tennessee with their Pet Health Equity Program and has designed a model to help provide low-cost veterinary care to people in need in communities based on a network of providers, similar to an insurance model, but not insurance. And so his model has started to gain some traction across the country. And I have coordinated a meeting to be held, I think it's December 5th, for Dr. Blackwell to present to several stakeholders here. This is not an animal welfare driven model. It really is a model to be driven by private practitioners, private veterinarians in our community. But we all have a piece to play in this. The simplest component of the aligned care model is a community would raise some funds, however that happens. Funds are raised. Those funds are then placed into an escrow account with the Aligned Care model. The network of providers will be agreeing to provide services to eligible participants at a discounted rate. And those eligible participants will be identified at a minimum by people who are already receiving some kind of financial assistance, state, local, or governmental assistance, federal assistance. If they qualify for that, they can then go to that provider within the network. The provider would be paid through that escrow account, best way I can think about it. They would be paid through that escrow account, and that pet owner would pay a 20% copayment. And so, again, the idea is finding first those providers who would be willing to do this, and then starting to identify pet owners who might meet this criteria. It's very closely linked to social service agencies. So many of the clients might come from folks who are receiving services through SNAP or TANF or homeless services or mental health services who are receiving SSDI or SSI, any of those financial, TANF, or whatever it might be. So it's working with social service agencies to help identify the client. The other part of the component, though, is that there's a local case manager who helps to navigate the system for those clients with the Aligned Care model's escrow account, for lack of a better word. It seems to be gaining some really good traction. LA County has been starting to implement this model. And so we have our very first meeting to hear about this model from Dr. Blackwell in early December. So I just, again, wanted to share that with you. It's not really driven by the shelter. It's not a shelter service, but it is about how do we as a community support people in our various jurisdictions who are financially limited, who love their animals, be able to help provide affordable vet care to them. So I will keep you all informed as more develops, but I just wanted to let you know, again, another national model that we may be able to bring here. I had told you about moving on. I told you about our Pets for Life program, which is a national model that we are doing with the Humane Society of the United States. And we have targeted a specific location in the city of Oxnard. Thank you to Mayor Zaragoza and his staff who were able to help us get on the agenda because we did a Oxnard City Council. Our Pets for Life coordinator has been hired. He is fabulous. That person is in the process of completing training and starting to identify providers in the community. And we hope to be up and running within the next month or so, starting to provide direct service. Right now, we've identified, and we're starting very small, we've identified a small location within the La Colonia area within Oxnard to get started. Again, it is targeted for Oxnard specifically. And we are starting literally, I think, on 3 streets because it's a very targeted approach where Raf, who is our PFL coordinator, will be knocking on doors and asking people if they have pets and do they need any assistance. Again, not shelter driven. This is really about being in the community to help people provide the best care they can to their pets and obviously help them retain their pets so that they never have to come to a shelter. So that's Pets for Life. I'm going to stop there because I know I just threw a lot. Are there any questions about any of these things? I probably should have stopped after each one, but.
So with the program in Oxnard, when they knock on doors, I know that it's difficult sometimes to get a certain segment of the population to agree to spay and neuter. I'm aware of the challenges, even if you try to bribe them with a toaster oven or whatever. I've heard about that. But is that part of the program? Yes.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that question. Again, the key component of the Pets for Life program is that all services are free. to the recipient. There is no charge. It's funny, they talk about works to catch to the program. The catch is that it's all free. And the primary things that we will be looking to assist pet owners with will be spay neuter, wellness exams, vaccinations, rabies being a big one, microchipping, as well as supplies. Do you have enough food? Do you need a crate? Do you have leashes? Are your dogs running the street because you don't have a leash and a collar? We'll provide that for you. So it really is a holistic approach to helping those. But there is quite a bit of the funding dedicated to spay neuter.
Jackie,
Wonderful, wonderful.
can I share, sorry for my apologies for interrupting, but I just want to thank you and probably the commissioners too, that you made a really good presentation to our city council. Not too long ago, you and I can't remember the name of your assistants, is Spanish speaking. So that is going to help us tremendously with the program, because you're actually going to, like you said, go knock on doors. And one of the things that we talked about at the time, that a lot of the programs, Sousa, is that a lot of people don't want to open the door because they figure, hey, they think you're looking for, does the dog have a license?
Yeah.
But apparently, according to the assistant that Jackie has, people are going to kind of have a trust because he looks like him, which I think is really, really important. But I just want to share with the commission that Jackie and his assistant did an excellent presentation to our city council not too long ago, just for information.
This sounds
Thank
so
you.
wonderful. It makes me so happy to hear about this. This is, prevention ultimately is
Absolutely.
cheaper than, the dog ending up at the shelter with 12 puppies. Yeah.
And it's
Wonderful.
going to help tremendously. And thank you for that. Good point.
And again, you're right, Mayor Zaragoza. Raphael, he's been with the county for many years. He transferred to Animal Services about 3 years ago. He's been our foster coordinator, and we interviewed quite a few people, and he truly was head and shoulders above everyone else. He is passionate about this work. He's passionate about the community. He is bilingual, and he will not be out there looking like a law enforcement officer. He will be in VCAS garb. We just got some really cute signage that'll be on the vehicles. There's a lot of messaging to go with this project to help people understand that this is a support and a resource. This is not an enforcement activity. And I also just have to, again, acknowledge and say thank you to the Ventura County Community Foundation. They are the funders of this project. This is a multi-year project, approximately $275,000 a year that they've committed the funding to support. So again, a huge recognition of their partnership with this. All right, couple other just quick updates. I know that we have talked several times at our meetings about some of the struggles we've had with staffing, as many businesses, whether it be animal welfare or public service agencies or restaurants in our community. We've all been struggling with staffing issues during COVID and post-COVID. We had received approval from the Board of Supervisors actually just about a year ago to bring on a third vet to our services. And I am happy to tell you that we have finally filled that position. Our third vet has started. She's actually started November 13th. Her name is Dr. Lisa Kentfield. She is a local from our area. She has been in private practice for the last 8 or 9 years at a practice in Ventura, and decided she really wanted to move into shelter medicine. It was time for her, and I'm using her word, she wanted to do something that was a little bit more mission driven for her. So we are thrilled she has joined us. And so we now have 3 veterinarians. She's going to be on a 32-hour week for the next 6 months or so, and then eventually we'll be moving to 40 hours. That will now give us the ability to start moving to having a veterinarian on staff 7 days a week, which we've not had the ability to do. So we are absolutely thrilled that she's joined us. She comes with huge, small animal, dog, cat, companion animal experience. So she's getting up to speed a little bit with the number of spay neuter surgeries, because there's a skill with that. Most private practitioners don't do 25 or 30 surgeries a day, so that's a learning curve for her. But we have no doubt she's going to do incredibly well. And so after a year, we have filled that position. Woohoo!
Yeah, great news.
It is great news. We also have had many open positions throughout our shelter for various reasons. Quite a few due to COVID, loss of folks due to COVID. We've had some retirements. There's just been various things that have been going on. And as you all know, working in government, it can be a little slow from a hiring perspective. But our county HR department really worked closely with us and with Phil, our administrative services director. And we were able to hold the very first job fair here on property, which is the first one that's ever happened in the county outside of the healthcare agency. And we actually brought on a total of 15 new staff, and I believe 2 more are still due to come on. So that's been a huge impact. Again, a lot of work to recruit, hire, and train, but we are getting back up to speed with our staffing. And we also had hired our new volunteer coordinator back in April. And since she's come on, she has brought on over 300 new volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot that we've been doing, even though we haven't been meeting with you guys. We have been kind of busy. And then the last piece on my director's report is just to talk about our upcoming meetings. As you all know, at the end of December, the state of emergency will sunset from the governor's office, which then changes the ability for us to continue doing virtual meetings in this fashion. Unfortunately, or I shouldn't say unfortunately, but the new regulations would allow for some hybrid like meetings to happen. However, we don't have the technological capacity to do that. And so we will be returning to in-person meetings starting in February. For those of you who've been on the commission a while, I actually think that you might have enjoyed coming here every once in a while, get a chance to see the animals, see the property. So starting in February, which our new date will next be February, 16th, we will start meeting on property, 9 o'clock here. And we will make sure that the public is fully aware of that too. So again, for public comments, but we'll be meeting in our classroom as we have always done. And actually, I'm kind of excited. It'd be nice to see everyone in person again. It's been a long time.
Excuse me, Jack. Is this over in Camarillo?
Yes, at the Camarillo facility.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
At 9 o'clock, and it's
9 o'clock.
effective February the 16th.
Yep. We will go back to in-person meetings again. We'll get all that information out to everyone with address and time. And the city staff meeting, somebody just asked, yes, the city staff meeting, we'll be able to continue to hold that virtually because that's an internal meeting where we don't have the technical abilities. We just don't have, we don't have a setup. We have one itty bitty little camera in our classroom. There really is no way to view this meeting, have it projected to the public, have people call in, be able to see all the participants. We don't have the physical setup. So we will go back to an in-person meeting. But yes, the city staff meeting will continue to do virtually for everyone's convenience. And that concludes my director's report. Let's see, where are we? Flipping back pages. All right, we are at commissioner comments. So I open it up for any commission comments at this point.
Jackie? Oh, excuse me.
So, Mayor Zaragoza, we'll go with you first, and then Commissioner Francina.
I just want to share with you. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving day. You know, I'm still eating turkey and ham and so forth. And I told my wife I want to eat something else. He says, no, we got to finish the whole thing. But anyway, had a great time, and I hope that everybody has a great holidays coming up. You know, Christmas and New Year's. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Francina.
Oh, you're probably aware that Jolene has retired in Ojai at the Humane Society. But I can't remember the name of the new, the person who replaced her. but maybe I can report a little bit about that at the next meeting, because I'll plan to meet with him in the interim.
Well, he actually, yes, Eric Knight is the new CEO over there. He's been on for about 4 or 5 months at this time.
Oh, I
So,
didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah, he's not replaced. Jolene was the director of operations. And so she has retired, but Eric is the CEO there, and we work very closely.
Oh,
with,
good. I'm
with
happy
them.
to hear that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had a long-standing relationship with them, and he's a very nice gentleman who's joined the field. So we're glad that he's there, and we'll do anything we can to help support them.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Jackie. I just wanted to say I'm very impressed by everything you guys have accomplished during this time. I'm filling that veterinarian spot. I know that was a biggie. I was really excited about that. But hiring 15 people, nobody can do that. So I don't know how you did it, but that's fantastic. But I just want to commend all of you on all your hard work and how you've really kept everything going the past couple of years, really, to be honest. So great job. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We have an amazing team here, and our senior leadership team has really just carried the ball forward the last couple of years. So thank you, and I will pass that on to everyone. Commissioner Gama.
Thank you very much for all the information and work you've been doing. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to add, perhaps we can consider naming the new shelter after Carmen Ramirez. Would that be something that could be made a part of our effort to have a new shelter? I think that would be an amazing tribute to her.
I think that's a wonderful idea, and I believe that as we get closer to that, we surely can consider that. So thank you for offering.
Mhm.
That is an idea. Very nice. Anyone else? Any other comments?
Only that this was a great meeting. Thank you. It's just, I feel so inspired and encouraged by everything I learned today. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should only meet every 6 months. I'm kidding. Just kidding. Well, wonderful. If there are no other comments, my closing comment would be thank you to all of you. First off, thank you to Supervisor Levere again for joining this commission and finding the time within your schedule. I know how challenged your schedule is as the chair for the Board of Supervisors, but it touches my heart. I know it touches Carmen's heart that you have joined this group. So thank you. And thank you to everybody on the commission, all of the commissioners, the city staff, for doing what you do to support us every day, and the people and the animals here in Ventura. And truly, I wish everyone a wonderful, happy holiday and prosperous new year. And we look forward to seeing everyone in person in February.
Can I just quickly say one thing? Can you follow up on the concerns raised by Susan? Thank you.
I will send an email out to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, happy holidays to everyone. And we'll see everybody in February.
In person.
Everyone.
Thank you.
In
Great.
person. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Happy holidays.